Welcome back. All right, so we are going to discuss Minnesota and the Vegas Golden Knights. These teams have met recently in the playoffs. It didn't go well for Minnesota. The playoffs have not gone well for Minnesota for a long time. I am wearing a Vegas jersey. I just looking at all of the numbers and the teams and all the injury issues with Minnesota, I can't put a Minnesota. I can't make the argument for Minnesota right now, although I really want to. Minnesota 45-30-7 on the season. Vegas 50-22-10. Vegas has had a really strong run. 17-5-4 since Four Nations. 731 points percentage. Minnesota's had their struggles. 12-11-3 since Four Nations. 519 points percentage. And if you're a Wild fan and you're looking for hope, I would say the fact that they seem to be getting healthier should help. But don't look at their matchup during the regular season because Vegas won all three games. December 15th, 3-2. January 12th, 4-1. March 25th, 5-1. And that 5-1 game wasn't really close. The score tells you it wasn't close, and watching the game as I did, it wasn't. The score is not lying to you. The Vegas Golden Knights right now are playing some of the best hockey in the NHL. They're favored to potentially come out of their division. I say potentially because LA and Edmonton, you can make that argument for either of them as well. Now, on the Minnesota side of things, you have Matt Boldy. I've always been a big fan of Matt Boldy's. 82 games, 27 goals, 46 assists, 73 points. Since Four Nations, he's been near a point per game, 26 games, 7 goals, 18 assists, 25 points. Buried within those 26 games is a long goal drought for him as well. But he's coming out of that going into the playoffs. Marco Rossi, the great unknown with Minnesota, as to what his future looks like with the team, maybe in the playoffs. Maybe, right? 82 games, 24 goals, 36 assists, 60 points. Since Four Nations, tough go for him. 26 games, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. What I mean is, if he has a really good playoff here, and if he helps to upset Vegas, that can turn around your fortunes with the team quickly. Kaprizov, 41 games played, 25 goals, 31 assists, 56 points. If they had another 25 goals in the 41 games he didn't play, maybe we're looking at a team that's not a wild card. Maybe they end up in that top three. And at points, it looked like they could be top three, but they were without Kaprizov a lot down the stretch. He only played 4 games after Four Nations, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. And I'm not sure how close to 100% Kaprizov is, but Kaprizov at 80% is still better than almost anybody else you're going to have in the lineup. Eriksson Ek's not on the board, but him being back is a key guy for them as well. Matt Zuccarello, 69 games played, 19 goals, 35 assists, 54 points. Since Four Nations, 26 games, 7 goals, 11 assists, 18 points. Very consistent numbers from Matt Zuccarello. In net, I've got both goaltenders for Minnesota. I did not do that for Vegas because I feel like Gustafsson, if the first couple of games are tough, I don't think they're going to hesitate to go to Marc-Andre Fleury. Gustafsson, 31-19-6 record, 914 save percentage. Since Four Nations, a bit of a tough time as the teams had. 9-8-3 record, 911 save percentage. So the save percentage has stayed high. The win-loss record not as much. Fleury, 14-9-1 overall, 899 save percentage. Tough time of it after Four Nations. 3-3 record, 861 save percentage. It is his final year, and I do think that in the event that Gustafsson has a rough go of it, I think that John Hines will be willing to give Fleury a look. It could be an inspiration to the team, right? You're looking for some kind of spark if you're down early in the series. Now, on the Vegas side, what is Eichel's actual health level going to be? A lot of talk about players who are coming back for game one, and this star player is going to be back, and don't worry, this guy's going to be back. But are they themselves? Are they going to be that transformative player? So Eichel, 77 games, 28 goals, 66 assists, 94 points. So he played the other 5 games. He probably would have got to 100 points. 22 games since Four Nations, 9 goals, 16 assists, 25 points. So his points per game drop off a bit there. Stone, 66 games, 19 goals, 48 assists, 67 points. Since Four Nations, 24 games, 5 goals, 13 assists, 18 points. Stone's game, of course, is a lot more than points. Stone's game is a two-way game. I don't know if he's as good now as he was, say, 4 or 5 years ago, but Mark Stone's still pretty darn good. Tomas Hertl, 73 games, 32 goals, 29 assists, 61 points overall. Since Four Nations, he's been excellent. 17 games, 11 goals, 8 assists, 19 points. And Hertl is in that category, too, of as long as he's 100%, that helps his team's chances a lot. Shea Theodore, also having made his return recently. 67 games overall, 7 goals, 50 assists, 57 points since Four Nations. Just 12 games, but 9 assists in those 12 games. And he set a career high, I believe, in both assists and points this year. Not too shabby. Goaltending, Aiden Hill. Can he channel the 2023 Aiden Hill is a question there. 32-13-5 record for Hill. 906 save percentage. Since Four Nations, 12-3-1, a 920 save percentage. I don't think there's a chance they go to Samsonov. I think that it's Hill's net. I don't think there's much of a chance they go to Samsonov unless something dramatic happens. I think it's Hill's net. Now, looking at the team stats, the goals per game favors Vegas. No surprise. 3.34 goals per game versus 2.74 goals per game for Minnesota. The Wild desperately struggled to score goals. And considering how many top players were out of the lineup, makes total sense. Goals against also favors Vegas. 2.61 goals against per game as opposed to Minnesota's 2.88 goals against per game. Special teams also favor Vegas. 28.3% on the power play, one of the best power plays in the NHL. Whereas Minnesota at 20.9%, it's not bad. But the penalty killing is. Both teams' penalty killing, not great. 75.7% for Vegas. 72.4% for Minnesota. Basically, stay out of the box. Keep the game 5-on-5. Try to get the game slowed down a little bit if you're Minnesota. If Minnesota's going to win this series, the games are going to have to be like 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 kind of games. If they become high scoring or high flying, lots of like high event hockey as opposed to low event hockey, that does favor Vegas, in my opinion. Now, if they're leading after the first, they're pretty good protecting the lead. Minnesota 21-4-2 if they lead after the first. Vegas 27-3-6. But if they lead after the second, Minnesota's undefeated. 29-0 on the season, whereas Vegas 31-4-3. So even though Vegas's numbers are great, that 29-0 for the Wild, good on them. Hits per 60 minutes favors the Wild. Vegas is not a physical team like they were back in the day when they first came into the game. 19.83 hits per game for the Wild, 17.97 hits per game for Vegas. Blocks per 60 minutes, the Wild 15.9, whereas Vegas 15.3 on the season. So Vegas not as physical, not as much into the shot blocking. Alec Martinez was a big part of that. And so we'll see if that plays a role in this series. But honestly, it's going to take a lot for Minnesota to win this series. It really is. Just being completely honest with that. Looking at playoff histories, 2019 is as far back as we go with this, of course. Vegas lost in the first round to San Jose. A result that was controversial enough, the NHL changed the rules coming out of that. A lot of the replay stuff you see now is because of things that happened in that series against San Jose and in that playoffs in general, that run by the Sharks. 2020, Minnesota loses in the qualifying round to Vancouver, whereas Vegas lost in the conference final to Dallas. Vegas apparently doesn't match up very well against Dallas. 2021, the Wild lose in the first round against Vegas. 2021, Vegas loses in the semifinal to Montreal. So these teams have played each other recently. 2021, they were in the same division, of course, both being in the West. 2022, Minnesota loses in the first round to St. Louis. That is the one season Vegas failed to make the playoffs. It's the only time that's happened. 2023, Minnesota loses in the first round to Dallas. And Vegas won the Stanley Cup that year. So Vegas looking to win the second Stanley Cup in 3 seasons. 2024, Vegas lost in the first round to Dallas. Minnesota did not make the playoffs last year. So there's no pressure on Minnesota in this series. There's more pressure definitely on Vegas. I still think, though, Vegas, not a team that usually loses in the first round. I don't think they lose in the first round this time either. So looking at the schedule, Sunday, it's a 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific start. Minnesota fans, I'm going to say the same thing I said to you last year and have been saying to fans in division or in time zones that are not the Eastern or Pacific time zone. Yeah, you guys are going to be up late watching games. Tuesday, it's an 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific start. I don't know who called the 8 o'clock start, but that's late for a hockey game. And if that's the second half of a doubleheader, if puck drop could be even later, that's crazy late. Then in Minnesota on Thursday, it starts at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. So that's an hour later than the normal start time in Minnesota. And then on Saturday, it's a matinee game. It's 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. So I don't know who that favors because the Western teams don't play nearly as many matinee games as teams in the East. But that's your fourth game. And then the fifth game would be on Tuesday, April 29th in Las Vegas. Thursday, May the 1st would be in Minnesota. And Saturday, May the 3rd, Game 7 would be, of course, in Las Vegas. I don't know if this goes the full 7. This kind of feels like a 5-game series to me, because Minnesota has not really shown that they're contenders for some time now. I really like Minnesota's future. I think this team's going to have a lot of cap space this summer. I think Bill Guerin's going to get creative about improving this team going into next year. I do not see them being able to mount enough to knock out the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round. Do I want to be wrong? Absolutely. I have no problem with being wrong. The reality, though, is that Vegas looks pretty formidable at this point, and they were playing really, really well going into this series. Ever since Four Nations, they've been fantastic. So we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts, including, why you would pick one team or the other in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.